there it is, the 4th episode of Dexter Original Sin. We finally got to see what happened to Judge Powell's kid, who was behind it, and even what happened to that person. It was an interesting storyline, one of the best episodes currently. Dexter finally showed us his forensic skills, La Huerta showed us her grumpy side, there was some family drama included from Deb's side, we also got to see Brian's dark side from his childhood. That was interesting. Overall, quite a lot has happened in this episode, and the ending was a direct setup for the new drama. Hello everybody, my name is Idolon. If you are new to this channel, welcome. Today we're gonna take a look into the 4th episode of Dexter Original Sin. This is by far the most interesting episode yet after episode 2. What was missing, I would say, is that we only got one scene with Batista. He wasn't very involved with the case, if I recall correctly. He was only in one scene, I think, and I was kind of expecting to see him more, showing off his detective skills and maybe hitting on La Huerta one more time, you know, but everything else was really great. If you enjoy this kind of content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, it means a lot to me. Now let's get to the episode. The episode starts with two skaters having fun, casually roller skating around when they come across a deceased person hanging from the bridge. The whole Miami Metro is immediately all over the case, there's press everywhere, and it's quite obvious that this is Judge Powell's kid, Jimmy. When Dexter arrives at the scene, seeing a deceased kid gets to him more than anything before. It looks like it awakens his childhood trauma, he can barely breathe and he's just shocked. Harry realizes that something is wrong, so he tries to calm Dexter down, telling him that what he is feeling is normal and that it will pass. But Dexter is still upset. We can see that despite all the horrible things Dexter did, he always had a soft spot for kids. Harry sends Dexter to another crime scene along with his colleague, Officer Sanders. And meanwhile, Deborah is at home with Sophia, talking about going to the beach and taking her friends there with Harry's truck. At the crime scene, Dexter and Sanders have a little talk about the deceased kid. Sanders calms down Dexter a bit, and then it was time to shine for Dexter. He got an opportunity to show off his forensic skills. We got this cool point of view representation from Dexter, explaining what happened at the crime scene. Dexter was really passionate about it, like usually. Explaining the crime scene with such enthusiasm is his specialty. Huerta wasn't satisfied with Dexter's explanation after he claimed that it was just an educated guess. She was kinda roasting him even from the start, but it was funny seeing her not being impressed with Dexter's work like she always was in the main series. Then we see the drama between Deb and the girls. There wasn't enough place for all the girls to fit into Tiff's car. Originally, Deborah was supposed to bring Harry's truck, but he took it to work, and that's why Deborah and Sophia decided to do something else instead. Meanwhile, Harry talks to Camilla because he is concerned about Dexter. He wants to make sure that he isn't mentioned in Laura Moser's case files, so he wouldn't find out the truth for his own good. Then we get to see a flashback from Harry when Laura had to make her undercover appointment. There was no one to watch after Brian and Dexter, so Harry offered himself. I would also like to mention that in all of those flashbacks, Dexter looks way older than he's supposed to be. He was 3 years old when the accident in the container happened, if I recall correctly, but to me he looks a bit older. Anyways, after the flashback, Deb and Sophia are having their own kind of fun. They try and buy new version of white happy powder. Sophia then says that this is better compared to what Dexter got for them. Dex, it's time to become Walter White and make purer product. While all of this is happening, Dexter is searching through case files, trying to find who's responsible for Jimmy Powell's passing. He comes forward to Harry, just like they discussed in the previous episode. He mentions that he might have a possible suspect. Dexter is still pretty torn up from this case, which eventually led to conclusion that whoever did this deserves to be put down. Instead of leaving the case to Miami Metro, he wants to take care of it himself. This is the part where it gets interesting. The suspect that Dexter found goes by the name Mad Dog, and he is responsible for over 200 disappearings in 70s, and he is supposedly a contract executor for the mob. He's very careful and he has never been caught. Harry and Dexter got interrupted by Deb, who is disappointed in both of them for not getting any attention. Harry and Deb end up in an argument and Harry demands Dexter to get a proof before pursuing Mad Dog. When Dexter is looking for proof at Mad Dog's house, he finds out that the guy has many awards, even the one being world's best grandpa. Yeah. He also has a guitar collection, and I'm talking a lot of expensive, valuable Fender guitars. Dexter quickly finds a shredded photo with the name and address of Mad Dog's next target. This means enough proof for Dexter to go after him. In the next scene, Miami Metro is still figuring out the case when they get interrupted by Captain Spencer's ex-wife. They end up arguing about their kid, and thankfully we have Dexter, who hears all of it, and he tries to calm down their son. He gives him a Twix chocolate bar too. A good deed from Dexter. And then we have Dexter's time to shine again, orchestrating the crime scene with Tanya's melons. Pause. I'm not talking about this kind of melons, I'm talking about fruit. Unlike before, this time La Guerta actually values Dexter's work. The whole representation is very exciting too. I love Dexter's enthusiasm. Patrick really did a great job at playing young Dexter. Then we have Deborah and Sophia again, talking about going clubbing. Deborah wants to avoid Harry since their last interaction didn't end up on good terms. Meanwhile, Dexter takes his time to put together a shredded image of Mad Dog's next target. And after that, we get Deborah and Sophia clubbing scene where Deborah meets a guy, he gives her his business card, I suppose. And yet again, we get a scene with Dexter and Harry. Dexter shows proof to him, showcasing that Mad Dog isn't retired. Harry opposes to Dexter, saying that he's too professional for him. And I would say he's right, Dexter is dealing with professional assassin this time. He compares Mad Dog to Michael Jordan, and it's funny that Dexter doesn't know who Michael Jordan is. Kind of an NPC move from Dexter. But in the end, Harry ends up agreeing with Dexter's plan, and here we go again. It cuts to flashback when Harry is babysitting Dexter and Brian. Dexter ran off because he tried to save a lizard, and this is where we get to see that Brian was messed up even as a child. The scene shows us Brian tearing up lizards and their tails for fun. They later have a lizard funeral together to calm Dexter down before Laura comes back. In the next scene, we have Dexter going sailing with Mad Dog on his boat. He gets a chance to ask Mad Dog some questions that would provoke him, but they are enough to confirm Dexter's suspicion. At the same time, Deborah goes on a date with this guy Gio, who she met the other night at the club. He picks her up with his car. He seems to be very rich considering the kind of car he's driving. We then get the last flashback in this episode, which shows us Harry making sure Dexter and Brian are sleeping, and Laura returns back home, making her deal a success. And remember how in the previous video I've said that I don't see the chemistry between Laura and Harry? Well, it turns out that there was chemistry between them at the end. After a lot of hesitation, they eventually make out with each other. Now the last part is Dexter preparing to get rid of Mad Dog. Unfortunately, his ritual doesn't go as planned because Mad Dog wakes up too quick and he manages to overpower Dexter in a fight. There's also a funny part in this fight scene between them when Mad Dog says, "No, not the Clapton." We can clearly see his crazy obsession with guitars, and the best part is that Dexter breaks the guitar anyway. I'd say that this is why the episode's name is Fender Bender, you know. Anyways, the fight continues with Mad Dog escaping Dexter, and he chases him down the street, and then something unexpected happens, setting us up for the next episode. Mad Dog gets ran over by a car, and Dexter watches everything in shock. This is where the episode ends. This episode was amazing. It was as interesting as episode 2. I genuinely love the series. They've exceeded all of my expectations. Wow. I hope I'm not the only one. What do you guys think so far? Is it good? Bad? Mid? Let me know down in the comments. And as always, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like if you enjoyed it, and I will see you when the episode 5 arrives.
Peace out.